to you.
Thank you, Brian. I feel like I'm a news anchor. Yes, thank you, Brian. You're incredible. You guys, let's give Brian some love in the comment box. Unbelievable. We're in peak state. We're ready for today. And before I even get into today's content, I want to honor all of you because we have over 200,000 people in this group, 1.9 million posts, comments, shares. You are blowing this up. You are truly taking control of this comeback challenge, and we are so unbelievably excited for you and this journey. And remember, at the end of today, we are going to announce the winners of the prizes. And last night, we were up again until 6 a.m. Tony's watching all of your videos. I don't know anyone else on the planet, a man that is that busy, watching all of your videos. He's so unbelievably committed to you getting to the next level. So stick to it tonight, because we are going to announce the winners of those prizes. And ooh, are they juicy. There's one little special surprise as well. So I'm watching you. We've got Melissa, we've got Marshall, we've got Kristen, we've got Miguel, Michael. Look at you guys. Luca Lee. Stay on tonight because we have a special surprise. Karen Lugo. Yes. All right. So where have you been? This is day one. Throw it in the camera. Day one. This is day 3. And so far you figured out where you are. You figured out that we run these stories. And then you went to day 2 and you figured out why we run these stories. And it's because we have these beliefs, and this is all about who we must become to get to the next what? Level in comeback season. And today, I'm so unbelievably excited for what you guys are about to learn. I'm so excited because it's one of the most important subjects that we can talk about, because it's your love and it's your passion. And without love and passion, what do we have? Without love and passion, what do we have? Drop it in the comment box. Drop it in the comment box. Without love and passion, they say boring, they say nothing, right? Yes. And at UPW, which is one of my favorite events that we do, Unleash the Power Within, we talk about these 7 areas of mastery in your life. And Tony always talks about this. For you to be successful, we want to master these 7 areas. And a lot of people are really great in one area and maybe not so great in another. So let me give you an example. You might be crushing it in your finances, and then we might have had the relationship take a backseat. Who's ever been there before? Throw a hand up. Or maybe your physical body is rocking and your checking account is flat. Who's ever been there before? Throw a hand up. So the goal is to create harmony in all of these areas. So today we're going to pull out one of the most important areas of this pyramid of mastery, these levels of mastery, and that is your relationships. And the reason relationships are so important, write this down, this comes directly from Tony Robbins himself, is that the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. How many of you agree with that? Throw a hand in the air if you agree with that. The quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. And there are a lot of you on here now that are excited today for multiple reasons. You might have a relationship you want to strengthen. You might have a relationship you want to end, or you might want to have a relationship. And we have all these different relationships in our life, right? We have work relationships. We have non-intimate relationships. We have friendships. We have relationship with our kids. The most important relationship we want to focus on today is our intimate relationship. Because if you don't have love and vibrancy and passion in our intimate relationship, then it's really hard to be lastingly happy. So today we're focusing on our intimate relationships, our love, our passion in general. And something Tony says all the time that is so beautiful is that our greatest evolutionary advantage as a human being is love. It's the most sacred and profound subject that we can talk about. And someone as successful as Tony Robbins, a best-selling author, trained world leaders, top athletes, owned many companies, and at his life, he's not saying that he's always been incredible at relationships, but he made a commitment at one point that he would own that. And 2 of the most beautiful people in the world that have one of the most incredible relationships I've ever been able to witness is Tony and his wife, Sage. They protect their love fiercely. And today you're going to have an opportunity to learn from him, Tony Robbins, and Sage together live. And he did something really incredible. He pulled out footage from one of our live events, and it's called Unleash the Power Within. And it's footage of an intervention that he did live with 2 beautiful human beings. And today you're going to have an opportunity to witness and watch that intervention. And I can't believe you have the ability to do this. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of footage I've ever seen. And to tee up that video for you, to explain what you're about to see, to show you what's about to happen, I'm going to actually bring on the man himself. Who is it? Tony freaking Robbins. Yes! Good to see you.
Good to see you this morning. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? Crank it up just for a moment here. Get the energy going, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. No music, please. Come on now. Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Wake that body up. Oh, yes. Grab a seat. How y'all doing this morning? Listen, I'm so excited for this day. First of all, I want to thank you all for doing your homework again. You're giving me a second job, to say the least here, reading and watching, but it's so moving, and your level of commitment and your level of energy is off the charts. And more of you have joined us. We have 343,000 people now in this 7-day challenge, and more than 200,000 are online. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, please do. You'll find great support there, great friends there. And that's where we're asking you to do your homework as well, so I can see it, and we can see it, and it can happen. We've also donated 7.2 million meals, ladies and gentlemen, now. Let's give it up for that. It's pretty awesome. Really awesome. So today, I was obsessing about how can I give you in an hour and try and get this to the real hour we promised, and give you massive value. And the subject, first of all, is the most important subject, I think, because day one was all about emotional fitness, right? And then yesterday, uncovering what gets in the way, the beliefs that can screw you up. So in order to change your story and keep a new story, you need a new set of beliefs. And we're making some new decisions yesterday. Now, let's say you've gotten good at that. Oh, it's so nice to see so many people here. Nice to see you, Karen. Nice to see you, Mike. I see these really happy faces. You're changing my state just to see how happy you are. This is beautiful. Hi, MB. Good to see you guys. But the bottom line is the subject we're going to talk about today is relationship mastery. And this is an area where you start to think you're really good at mastering things, right? And you finally got your own emotions where you feel like I'm in charge, I can get my head together, I can deal with the challenges. And then you fall in love with another species, right? Someone who's from another planet who looks at the world completely different. In the beginning, with all the chemicals, it's easy, right? But then what happens is you start bouncing in each other's models of the world, but you're different, and conflicts start to show up. Who here has experienced immense pain in an intimate relationship before? Raise your hand, make a little noise. Who here has experienced some of the greatest joy or pleasure in your life in a relationship? Make some noise, right? So it's the place where we get the most pain and pleasure. Why? The reason why is, remember the other day I mentioned to you the deepest fear all human beings have? There's two primary fears. Yes, we're afraid of rejection, we're afraid of pain, we're afraid of loss, we're afraid of not looking good, but the two primary pains they all come down to is, number one, the fear that we're not enough. In fact, in your original stories, on the very first day, so many of you, your old story was, I'm not enough, or worried you're not enough. And that is not because there's something wrong with you, it's the human experience. When we're born, what do you got to do to be loved when you're a baby? What do you got to do? Come on, guys, what do you got to do? Nothing. You scream and somebody loves you. You vomit, green vomit on their neck and your mom and father and they still love you, right? You crap your pants, they love you. You're fat and bald and people love you. Try that when you're 50, see how it works. You get the idea? So in the beginning, you can do no wrong because your mother and father are full of drugs called oxytocin, normal human drugs that make you love that child even though they look like a lizard. Right? But you think they're the cutest thing in the world. You ever seen a mom who didn't think their child was absolutely perfect, no matter what the child looks like, right? So we have this first experience where everything in our life was, we're just loved no matter what. And then one day the oxytocin wears off. And that's a rough day, right? Because when the oxytocin wears off, all of a sudden, you do the same thing you did before, but instead of someone loving on you, they yell at you. Or they smack you. Or what's worse than being smacked or yelled at? They ignore you. And so really the secret to all this, I'm seeing some people saying they're not getting the sound, guys, so I'm seeing some motions here from lots of people on Zoom. So I'll slow down just for a second. I'm seeing there's no sound. Help unmute Tony. Is it back? Are we back, guys? Awesome. Thanks for the feedback. This is why it's good to have visuals. So anyway, the bottom line is, if we're going to be able to feel or deal with our lives, this fear comes because as a child we get left for nothing, and then one day the oxytocin wears off, and now we're not paid attention to or yelled at, as I started to say, I hope you heard it, or ignored. And so that produced fear in your body. And so the fear everybody has is I'm not enough, and if not enough, I won't be loved. And many of your stories are all the ways you're trying to be enough to be loved. So who can give you more pain, more fear in your body? What can take a giant warrior to their knees? Loss of love from someone whose love they crave, right? To feel like you're not enough for the one you crave. Who's ever felt like you were not enough for someone whose love you desired deeply here? Say, ah. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. But we can change it if we understand it's not about chasing someone else. It's not about getting them to behave a certain way or treat you a certain way. The state of the union, the way in which you interact with another human being, the state of the union is your state. You have to own 100% responsibility. You go, Tony, but I'm with a jerk. I'm with an idiot. If you're truly with someone who doesn't share any of your values, is really unkind, then it's time to make a move. But before you do that, sometimes their lack of kindness, their lack of joy, their lack of things you want is you've changed the way you interact with them. In the beginning, people will do anything for their partner, and then as time goes by, they start developing expectations. In the beginning, you would do anything for them, and it gave you joy to fill them up. But as time goes by, people tend to revert to a transaction where they're measuring things. And the moment you measure, it starts to drop. So the greatest gift you bring to a relationship is what probably brought you to in the first place, is your state. How many of you have fallen head over heels for somebody, and it was just the joy or the happiness or the love or the sexiness, it was their state that pulled you in? How many can relate to this? Raise your hand here if you do and say, I. And so on the other hand, what's really interesting is, what we often change that state as we get in a relationship. We develop new rules, new expectations, and expectations always leave you feeling empty. And then if we talk to our friends, they go, yeah, that's how men are, that's how women are. And then we reinforce more of these generalizations. So your state, your ability to bring something to the relationship is the power. Most people are trying to get something, but that makes you feel empty because then it's a trade. And so what we want to do today is I figured I could teach a bunch of principles, but the most powerful way I teach, and for example, Unleash the Power Within or Date with Destiny, is when I do interventions. People stand up, we don't know what they're going to say or do, and I got to turn it around. The only challenge in this hour format, which has been 3.5 hours the first day, and I think 2 yesterday, an hour and a half yesterday, how do we do that? Because sometimes those interventions can go an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and by the way, nobody moves a muscle because they're so riveting. So what I thought I'd do for you today to keep it tight and give you the most value is I edited down an intervention I did a couple of years ago at Date with Destiny. And I've edited down to less than 30 minutes where the core principles are being taught in real time. Instead of me telling you verbally, you can see the impact and you can feel the struggle and see how this couple resolves it. So I'm going to ask you to sit up in your chair with some real energy, and I'm going to ask you to watch and take notes. I don't know if you do it by hand or you're going to do it typing, but I want you to take notes as if you're going to teach this to someone else who's having trouble in the relationship. Because whether you're in a relationship or not, the fundamentals are the same. Attracting a relationship comes from the state you're in also. But I want you to see what messes it up in real time with real people. Again, crunch down for you. But I want you to take those notes like you're going to teach someone, because maybe you will, but also you might need it not even now. Maybe your relationship is perfect. But if you make these distinctions today and you take notes like that, not like, well, I'm interested, take notes on things you think don't relate to you, because they will sometime if they haven't already. And now I'm going to come back here with Sage, wrap it up, and then all our VIPs, Sage and I are going to do Q&A with you guys for about 30, 40 minutes, okay? Sound compelling? Then sit up in your chair and take a look here as you'll get a chance to meet a couple here, and take notes again, like this means everything to you, because it does. If you master this area of your life, you're going to have a richness most people never dream about. Let's roll it. Here we go. So how many of you have been honest with yourself and can see the pattern of what's gotten in the way from keeping this be permanent? Who can see this? And how many know what you need to change now? Great. Let's have a couple quick shares. What's your name? Where are you from, Maureen?
Maureen from Connecticut.
From Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us, what were the qualities that you really want most that you discovered that you really want in a relationship?
Really honesty, people on the same page with you, same level of growth, same level of commitment, loyalty. Yeah, I mean, just passionate, just same goals in life.
Okay. And tell me, what's gotten in the way of having that be sustained?
Well, actually, my husband is here. Sorry, Marcus.
By the way, this is a man's ultimate nightmare. Someone talking about his intimate relationship in front of others, much less 5,000 others from 68 countries. So tell us, what's gotten in the way?
Well, we've been married 27 years now. It was actually on November 27th was 27 years. So I've grown a business, which you talk about the male energy and the female energy, and so I know I'm probably way too masculine, probably more than I should be at times.
Well, that should be, but just maybe it's out of balance if you think it's out of balance.
Right. I think there was a shift in our relationship when he was able to retire, but didn't really have a hard purpose there.
Yes.
In hindsight, looking back,
Yes.
that was an issue. So we've been having a hard time for about 4 years now, and we actually came here saying we're going to decide at the end if we're going to find a path to continue, or if we're just going to separate our ways.
Okay. So what have you decided out of this beginning portion here? What part have you played? Because all I heard is about him so far.
What I play is...
How many saw that? Raise your hand if you see it. Okay. It's not bad. It's just what we all tend to do, right? But it won't get you where you want to go. It isn't just him. No matter how thin you slice it, there's always two sides.
I know that I've been spending more time away. I feel like I've tried to do everything. We've tried counseling. We've tried kind of bringing him into the business more. I just feel like there's a distance between us that's just keeps getting greater.
But what part have you played? Because that's the only one you can control. How many understand? It's not about making you wrong, right? You picking it. It's about responsibility. It's not about the burden of responsibility. It's about the ability to respond. Otherwise, you're at the effect of everything. So the reason to take responsibility is not so you have a heavy and not because you're wrong. It's so you can actually do something and make your relationship better or not and make a shift. But you got to own the part. Because even if they did separate, then they're going to end up perhaps with somebody else, and they're going to end up after a short period of time, after the newness, they'll run into the same patterns if they don't know what they are. How many follows? Right? So what's the pattern in you? Because I can hear the pattern in him. I heard one part, which was yourself, that maybe you've been using an imbalance of your masculine. That's possible, but what else?
I probably haven't focused, I know I've been focused on growing the business, and that's pretty much been my primary focus.
If you could be 100% authentic, this is uncomfortable at times, but it could be really worthwhile, especially if you're this committed to either being in or being out. What are the judgments you've had about him?
I don't understand why he didn't take the time and try to do something and to accomplish something and kind of do his own thing more, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And what's the judgment about that, though? What's the feeling that is created from that? How many can feel the tension and pain in her right now, even talking about it in this moment? Because you can't influence somebody when you're judging them. I shouldn't say you can't. It's possible, but it doesn't last. To influence somebody, you can't judge them. And it's human nature that when the mind takes over instead of the heart, judgment is all that occurs, right? It's labeling, and then that gets away from our hearts. We have a hard time stepping in the other's shoes because, gosh, there's so much going on, and there's only so much focus and attention, and you're trying to do it all, and so in your mind you have your experience, but we don't step into the other's experience. We make judgments about the other, and then we get further and further apart. Because the real challenge here, more than anything else, is that there isn't polarity with these two right now. So I want to give you a fundamental principle right now, help you remember as long as you live. Relationships don't end for a lack of love. Intimate relationships don't end for a lack of love. They end because of depolarization. Depolarization means there's no longer an opposite energy. They're both in the same energetic field. And so now you can have a friend, but you don't have an intimate relationship. What's the only difference between an intimate relationship and a friendship? Intimacy. And so what happens is the mind becomes more and more control. And the relationship is not based on the mind. Anytime somebody's in their head, they're dead in a relationship, it's absolutely dead. Relationships are all based on heart. How many know that to be true in your own soul here? Say I. Head or heart right now with zero judgment. Which one's standing in front of us? Quick. Which one? No possibility of turning around in this place. No, it can be absolutely turned around. Just needs to require a different piece. So, is that the level of intimacy you want? Because here's the difference also, so that men and women understand this room. For a woman to be able to open and be vulnerable in this area of her life, there has to be trust and respect. And it sounds to me, and I could be wrong, that the respect has been dropped off on a major scale. Now, we could say he doesn't deserve that respect, but I think she deserves respect regardless, and he does as well. I think there's expectations that are not being met, and as a result, now respect is not there. I think there's still some love there, or she wouldn't be standing here wanting to even make this work. Is that true?
Yes.
But love is not enough. Love is not enough to have an alive, passionate, intimate relationship. And the longer we become depolarized, I'll just show you something right here, and you see how this relates. So, if you want to see how relationships break down, we might as well start it right now because it's happened here. The first step to a breakdown in a relationship is a loss of attraction. Were you attracted to him at any time?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You remember some of those times?
I'm still attracted to him.
Oh, that's good. Oh, look at that. That's nice. That's a good move. But notice I put the key word up there. What's the key word you want to remember as long as you live? What is it? Say it out. What is it? Depolarization. The electricity that makes you, in the beginning of a relationship, your partner, when you have polarity, when you have opposite energies, they can do just about anything and you think it's cute and adorable. Isn't it true? You can depolarize the same thing, like, why the fuck do they keep doing this shit? Who knows what I'm talking about here right now? So it's what you understand, it's not about attraction, it's about the meaning changes. When you no longer have polarity, you're going to interpret a different meaning and you're going to go into a different state. The two things that control the quality of your relationships. Is her state one that would pull him towards her right now? If she's looking at herself, right? We'll go talk to him and look at him too. I'm not making it her, but she raised her hand, so I got to deal with who's in front of me. How many follow here? If I'm talking to him, I'm going to talk to him about his part, because each of us has to own it, because if both own it 100%, we can make it work. If one person owns it, one doesn't, it's kind of hard to make it happen. It's possible, because you can put somebody so in state, by your being in state, you could bring them along, they could wake up. So what we say, the state of the union is based on your state. That's not making you wrong. I bet there's zillions of reasons why you feel the way you do. But it just won't work. You follow me? He says, not about making yourself wrong. If you make yourself wrong, your energy will go even less, you'll become less radiant, and the relationship will suffer even more. So I don't want you doing that if I can help it, but I can't control what you do, but I can point out what's true if you're willing to see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
So when you get depolarized, now there's not going to be as much intimacy because you're going to have responses that are different. Your responses are going to be the next piece. You're going to start to get irritated over little shit. You're going to get frustrated. One of you or both of you might start to stack the negative emotions. How many know what I mean now by emotional stacking? We showed it the other day, right? You stack enough negative, it's overwhelming, you're going to overreact. We've all done it. Who's done this? Who's overreacted? Say I.
Aye.
And at the same time, if we emotionally stack good, that's how you keep, attraction high. But if you don't consciously do it, we live in a world where we're supposed to be everything for everybody all the time for our partner, and there's a lot of shit going on. And unless you really are committed to living in a beautiful state no matter what, where you play that 90-second rule that many of you know about, where you get yourself in that place by leaving whatever's stressing you, and in 90 seconds is the game. It might take you, in the beginning, 30 minutes. But if that's your standard and you can get there, then guess what? You can leave any problem. You're not going to go from pissed off to joy, but you can go from pissed off or worried or stressed to appreciation. And appreciation is when suffering stops. And there is no attraction in suffering. And right now, she's suffering. I feel for her, don't you? And I bet he is too. We just haven't heard him yet. I bet they're both suffering. And so, in that suffering state, you focus on something you've lost or you have less of, or something you think you'll never have again. And I can see all three of those going through you. And so what happens is now, little shit will irritate you that used to, when you were attracted, you thought it was cute or fine or fun. You get frustrated, you emotionally stack, and maybe in some cases stonewall. Now let me give you a little tool. It's called the 4 R's. Here's the 4 R's that I think are useful, and you tell me if they relate to your relationship, and I'm not just talking to her, I'm talking to all of us. What happens when you lose attraction is you can start to have somebody say something or do something, and you feel this tension in your body. We'll call it resistance, so we can do 4 R's out of this, right? You feel a resistance. They say something, oh, I wish they wouldn't say that. Oh, I wish they wouldn't have done that. Oh. And what is it really clashing? It's just you have a model of the world different than your partner. Even though you love each other, and especially since you're different species, even if you're the same sex relationship, if you have polarity, you have different species, different energies. How many follow this? Say I. And so there's going to be some things when the attraction isn't there that'll no longer see so cute because now you're going to react out of the mind and out of the heart. Who's with me so far here? Say I. And so now what happens is that resistance, if you don't deal with it, and by the way, how do you deal with the resistance? You own that it's you. It's your shit. See, we think that we're in relationship with this human being in front of us, but really we're in relationship with this person through the filter of all the other people we've ever known. True? And the pain. And if they start doing anything that's slightly like that, we might start to feel a little resistance because, like, we don't want to go there again. And we tend to overreact because we're not attracted, we're not polarized, we're depolarized. So now the mind is running the whole show. Now the mind, what's the mind always looking for? What's wrong? What I should attack or destroy, fight, what I should run from or flight, or what I should freeze and pretend it's not there, hope it doesn't notice. That's what your survival brain would do. The minute you lose attraction, human beings in a relationship where they're ongoing, especially with the expectations of modern life, they go straight to survival brain. Survival brain will never make your relationship work. That's why the most important thing tonight, above anything else besides selection, being aligned, we'll show you that, is going to be keeping your polarity alive. Because when that's on, it's like a lightning bolt explodes into your relationship. When it turns off, it's like someone turned off all the electricity. And now the fucking mind is left there. So now when that resistance, how should you deal with the resistance? The way to deal with it is to own it. Go, honey, I don't know if you felt in me some tension, but I just want to let you know it's not about you. It's my own shit. You know, when you said and did these things, you did nothing wrong. It's just, I think I have some triggers about that in the past. You're not here to change you or my triggers. I'm going to clear that shit up. But you speak the unspeakable because people feel it, especially if you're in a relationship with a feminine force. Feminine feels how much, ladies? What do you guys feel? Everything. So not saying it, then they'll make up a bigger meaning. And vice versa, as dumb as you think men may be, ladies, or unconscious, we're not completely unconscious, and we can feel. We certainly feel when it comes to the person we love. We don't know what it is. Like the most common thing I'll see men do is like, why is she crying? I don't understand. Ladies, how many of you had a man say to you, why are you crying? When you say, how many ladies have had that? Because men, remember I told you, they separate. They process things where they can just put it in their left brain, right brain. But you have this center of the brain that connects the right and left, and it's totally connected if you have a feminine brain. And so you're feeling it all. So they don't know. They don't understand why you're crying. Like, you know, when you develop more of your feminine, you'll start to see that quivering lip or that little thing in the eye. You know what's coming. And you'll start to know what it is. But men don't even know. And often it's just this resistance that didn't get dealt with. If it doesn't get dealt with, it's going to grow into resentment. Have you ever had that happen in a relationship? Little shit was bugging you, you didn't handle it, and then it kept going, and then it started to what? What's the S word? Stack. And now, it's no longer just like, I wish they wouldn't tell that story. I wish they wouldn't do that thing. I wish they could finish and we could make it to the movie on fucking time. I wish they could get dressed. It's not that anymore. Or I wish they wouldn't exaggerate. Now it's, God damn it. What the fuck? Why does she do this? Why does he do this all the fucking time? And now your brain starts to generalize, distort, and delete, because that's what the mind does. Not the heart, the mind. And now the stacking intensifies the negativity. Who knows? Who's experienced this in a relationship before? So I know you got it, right? So now, can you relate to this?
I guess I feel unseen and not appreciated. It kind of just flipped where I didn't know how to make it better or how to,
No one teaches us how, honey. Says you've done nothing wrong. How many can see this would happen? Now, let's reverse it for a second. Enter his body. What is the most important thing to any human in a relationship if it's going to be an intimate relationship? The most important thing is that they feel that they are the most important thing to you. When that is violated, you will see depolarization so fast it'll make your head spin. Everything will be irritating, frustrating, stoning, angry. And I haven't even finished the process. That's the early fun part. Okay? So now I want you to enter his body if you can for a moment. And you've done nothing wrong, but just out of compassion, enter his body. You're off. He wants to be with you if he really holds you and loves you the way it appears that he does. He's retired, so he probably had some expectations. I retire, and we are going to travel the world. What else? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll ask him in a couple minutes. But I guarantee he had some form of idea of what we were going to do together. And she has every right to do this, right? She can go start a business, do her business, but all he knows is she's not with me. And oh, by the way, that's already there. So watch. I rub my arm like this, no problem. Remember I said, you got some scabs here? I could touch you with a cat hair and you're going to overreact. I'm not making you wrong. I'm just stepping in his shoes, right? Because I want him to do the same thing for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I can understand where he'd be upset, yeah.
No, but I mean 0 to 10, how upsetting.
10.
Yeah. Maybe even 100.
Yeah.
Because that's what the mind does when you're in the mind. We're not in the heart. We distort, delete, and generalize to meet our own story. That makes us feel good about ourselves because we're all afraid we're not enough and we won't be loved. And where does that emotion come up more powerfully than in an intimate relationship? Who else has the power to have you feel like you are worthless and unloved than someone whose love you desire the most? That's why it's the place of the ultimate pleasure and the ultimate pain if we don't manage it well. Let's go back to the R's. That's when your resistance, your resentment start to occur. How many follow? Is this making sense? Because what we're trying to decipher so that we can know what's really going on so we can change it. If you can understand, it's not that complex. Depolarization, that's the problem. Depolarization leads to irritation, frustration, emotional stacking. What is it? Resistance. What should you do when you feel resistance? Own it's your fucking thing, not theirs. Don't keep it in your head. Don't stack it. Communicate it. Own it. But if you don't handle it, it goes to resentment. I was asking you, so when that happened,
I guess I never understood why he didn't. I don't care if he went fishing every day, as long as he was doing something that made him happy. Like I didn't expect him to. It almost became like a competition with us, but I never I don't feel like it was from my side. You know, I was just trying to do what I was trying to do.
you just wanted to go do your thing and him be over somewhere else, which means there's no relationship. How do people get in a relationship? Do you all know? 3 keys, write them down. Proximity, proximity, proximity.
Touche.
You don't have enough proximity, it's going to be hard to have chemistry. Without chemistry, there's no attraction. Without attraction, the mind is running the show. Now loss of attraction, now irritation, frustration, resistance, resentment. If you don't deal with things while they're resentment, it'll go to rejection. By the way, resentment, people don't usually say anything. They sometimes roll their eyes. Or, you know, they look the other way, or they make a smirk, or they talk to their girlfriends. By the way, what's rejection? Now you snap at somebody, and they feel pissed off. Like, why are you snapping at me? I didn't do a fucking thing. They don't realize you've been stacking for a long time, so all they know is you're unreasonable. You fucking you're yelling at me? What the fuck are you yelling at me for? And he loves her, so he didn't say anything. And he wants her to have what she wants, probably. But at the same time, he's missing it and probably feeling alone. Going fishing by himself only goes so fucking long. But she's like, he's fishing, he should have a good time. And if you don't deal with rejection, now you're snapping at each other, smacking, people get pissed, and now you're in reaction. Some people, though, are more committed to the relationship, to the ship, than the relations. They don't want to get divorced.